Well, this announcement came out of left field today. If you're a fan of Quake like I am, then your copy of Quake Remastered on your console just got a huge new update. There's two new features that were added. One is Horde Mode, which I'll be talking about in today's video. The other is a brand new game mode called Honey. And I wouldn't say brand new. If you're not a modder, you probably don't know what it is. I'll talk about that at a later date. To me, Horde Mode really started with Gears of War 3. There may be other games that did it differently, but to me, Gears of War 3 did it the best. Horde Mode is generally the idea is you versus waves and waves of enemies, typically in some sort of arena-style setting, in which the waves don't always necessarily get progressively harder, but it's much more of a challenge as the game progresses because it's a war against attrition as power-ups or resources or whatever become limited. The fact that they were able to kind of shoehorn in the original Quake engine into this type of mode is awesome. And it works really, really, really well. You're looking at footage that I recorded earlier today on my PlayStation 5. If there is any weird pixelization or artifacts, it's because my internet connection sucks and Twitch hates me. That's how I record all of my footage. But I can promise you it looks beautiful. It's your traditional 4K, 60 frame per second HDR experience that you're getting on all the next-gen consoles with waves of enemies in one of 4 different arena battle maps. You can play by yourself or with additional friends. I have yet to try that part. I've just been playing solo and having an absolute blast with it. You're going to see in this video today just a brief snippet of all of the 4 maps. I'm not going to break down each one in detail. Suffice to say there are 2 maps which are very smaller in nature, and then there's 2 that are significantly larger. I think the latter is probably my best chance to beat it alone because you get a little bit of real estate to breathe, and not that there's any reloading in this game, but it kind of gives you a second to just get ready, scour for power-ups in a little bit more casual way instead of fighting enemies while you're running around actively looking. Because the enemies in this are ruthless. They will hunt and chase you down. They don't stop coming even if you stop shooting. Power-ups are limited and seem to be tied into the current wave, for lack of a better word, that you're on. So the idea of just kind of hanging out in the corner of the map and waiting for a box to spawn in doesn't necessarily seem true. There were instances, not in this particular gameplay session that I'm showing you now, but there were instances that I got a little crazy with the nail gun. I ran out of ammo and I was running around with my axe swinging until I could get more ammunition in the next wave. That doesn't mean to say this is tactical by any stretch of the imagination, at least when in terms of ammo counting. However, you're going to want to know enemy patterns, and you're definitely going to want to know what weapons work the best against particular enemies, and that is because you are going to be limited on ammunition and you have to be smart about how you utilize it. I love this. I don't know how to say this any other way. I am a huge Quake fan. If you have not yet had a chance to watch both of my previous videos where I deep dive Quake, actually I got 3 videos. I got the original Quake, the Pack 1, and then the Pack 2, which we now know is DLC, but back then they were packs. I'll post a link to all of those in the description below, so if you're really jonesing for more Quake, like I always am, that's the place to go. Quake really holds a special place in my heart, particularly because of Arena, Quake 3 Arena. As I've told the story a bazillion times, my roommate's best friend would come over every day, and he really taught me everything I know about first-person shooters. Tactics I still employ today, even in Halo Infinite. I learned from Tariq. Guy is the man. He's probably the best gamer I have ever played with. So every time I play Quake, it always puts a smile on my face because it takes me back to the summer of 2000 when I moved in and I met my roommate and his buddy came over and we installed Quake and began playing like that day, like the first day. That was our language barrier, was Quake, and we had so much fun with it. Really do enjoy that game. So anything Quake is always going to get me Jones. And then, of course, the time I got to go to E3 and I got pulled up on stage to play in a Quake tournament was just nothing short of just amazingly cool. Even better that I almost totally ate shit when I almost fell off the stage at the end. But I got a really cool hat, which I am wearing right now, and a really cool shirt, which I wear quite a bit as well, for my troubles. That was fun. In terms of Horde mode on this, you are going to be limited to the standard set of weapons from the original Quake. So any of the cool stuff that was added during the DLCs, the champion pack, challenge packs will not make it in. This is the original weapons. This was made by the Machine Gun Games, so this is not just a fan mod, or if it is, it's heavily polished by them. But I'm sure that there was a mod out there somewhere that included something like this, but the fact that it's now kind of like officially included in the game is actually really, really cool. And it runs really, really well with the standard toolbox of weapons. Note that if you're playing by yourself, it doesn't matter if you're playing with friends or others, the weapon wheel does not stop time like it does in the single player experience. The way to load into this is actually to set up a multiplayer game. And then from the multiplayer game, selecting this as a particular mode instead of deathmatch. So the game does treat this as an online mode, which means there's no pausing or, oh wait, let me look through my weapon, none of that. Everything's on the fly. So you're probably going to want to get smart with correct button mappings, or at least have a good sense of rotation in terms of which buttons do what, so that you can quickly switch through weapons, because the game doesn't always do the best job of giving you the right tool for the right job, and that's going to kind of be up to you. With the weapon set though, and how it works, you're not going to just be limited solely to the weapons, as you've probably seen by now. There are going to be some small power-ups that do drop, namely the quad damage and the pentagram of protection. The quad damage is amazing. I don't know where this is in the footage. I was not really paying attention to the gameplay as I was talking. It probably already happened, but quad damage is very powerful, and if you are not careful, you will rocket and kill yourself, because quad rockets are the most brutal thing in any game I've ever seen. You're going to be getting lots of those that just randomly drop from enemies. Then additionally, every so often you will encounter a boss wave in which they will spawn a difficult boss somewhere on the map for you to destroy. By defeating said boss, they will drop a key. And in all the maps in the corners of the rooms, on top of the portal to exit, which I have yet to do, but on top of that portal, there are other kind of loot rooms. You can look through the grates and see what weapons exist, so that you can use your key appropriately. There's like maybe 5 or 6 different rooms, and I think one map has almost like 9 or 10. It's massive how many rooms. You can peek your head in there and see what looks good. So when you get your key, you can go unlock ammo or armor or specific power-up or a specific weapon like the Thunderbolt or something, whatever. So that gives you a little bit of tactical. I guess that's probably the biggest part of the tactics, honestly, is figuring out what power-up you want to use, so that you could stay in the fight a little bit longer. It does get harder, like I said, and the power-ups, which seem like it's raining down at the beginning, and the way that the upgrades kind of, or the weapon ammo packs and everything start to dwindle towards the end, ammo conservation is probably going to be key. The biggest downfall with this, and I love Quake, as I've said now 1,000 times, is that since it is built on that original Quake engine, it unfortunately relies on that original Quake AI. This actually works out in your favor as a player of the game, because the AI is sometimes stupid and their pathing isn't always the best. There are times you can kind of camp and create natural funnels for enemies to walk through, what would be a natural shooting lane, to be able to kind of prepare for an onslaught of enemies. Additionally, the AI has trouble with different levels of terrain, as you saw earlier. Sometimes you'll be standing on a small ledge, or there'll be a pillar or a pole or some sort of support structure in the way. The AI has a very difficult time figuring out how to get around that. that is definitely used to your advantage as you kind of manipulate and kite them in such a way that they get stuck. They also do, just like in the single player experience as well, they do fight each other. So if you manage to get one enemy to shoot another, they will turn on each other and begin wailing on each other. And that's phenomenal as well, because it's one less thing you have to deal with. You'll just pick off the winner and you'll move on and live your best life. I can't say enough good things about this mode. It is so much fun. I'm really glad they added it. It really scratches that itch for some quick, fun Quake gameplay. You don't have to go through the story or anything. You just jump in. There's pretty much every single gun available almost immediately, or at least after the first boss, depending on which key you use. Seems to be very randomly based in terms of what enemies appear, what order they appear, where the power-ups are. The weapons do seem to be static, so at least you kind of have a rough idea of what you're going to be getting into. This forces you to be a master of all weapons, though, because you're not going to just be able to rely on one or another. As you guys can probably tell from my gameplay footage, I'm a shotgun man. So you want to always give me that shotgun. That's going to be my go-to weapon of choice forever and ever, and I love it. I think this might be the infamous quad rocket. But either way, I'm going to wrap up this video now. I hope you guys found this informative and fun. And if you haven't already, get out there and play Quake. More videos coming soon, like I said, on the mod, the Honey mod. But until then, this is a good place for me to stop. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.